Hi guys, it's me, your buddy Suze Pratt, the holistic stylist. And so, I was gonna jump on and do a live stream in about 15 minutes. I was getting myself prepared. You can see my background going on. Um, but I was watching Ned's Cigar Bar. Ned's one of my new friends. He interviewed Robert Phoenix, and they're up in Pennsylvania. And oh my goodness, do they have the cutest business district? I, I mean, I've seen them other places, surely across the world, but they got something special going on up there. So anyhow, I was watching his video, and then it says, "Hey, don't you want to do a live video?" And I was like, "Well, really, I'd prefer to have 5 minutes, but I am going to bring you an in-depth edition of my show and something that's very close to my heart, which is the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." And to me, that was always running my small business. And this is going to delve out into a lot of different places. So, like I said, if you're interested in an entertaining day, I'm calm. I'm not going to yell at anybody. We're all in the same tough spot. But I have a little bit tougher spot since they needed me to speak about these things. And I do have the experience, the awards, the honors, all the things that should mean something that really don't in the end. So I wanted to go ahead and open you up with my intro to Sophia's Emporium. I'm going to flip the camera around and figure out what I'm going to set my phone on. So, welcome. Oh, didn't figure I've already messed up because my phone is upright, not wide. Oh well. Never give up, friends. I'll do the best I can. I guess I'll be holding the phone. There I am. One of my many haters said, "You're an old hag. You are too old to be dressing like that." And of course, what we're going to be talking about today is how we feel about ourselves and what many will say are our shortcomings. We're never good enough, are we? And in a world that's been so manipulated and plasticized, so much photoshopping, so much fake hair, fake eyelashes, plastic faces, contact lenses that make you look like a doll or an avatar. I mean, and I'm a hairdresser. I'm pretty much a natural kind of chick. Some people say you need to take care of that. Now, of course, I'm a nationally accredited, board-certified hair colorist, so you think it'd be easy to work. But it's not. There's my daughter, Lauren. We should ask her. And of course, that's the scarab. And I guess this would be an appropriate time to say that today's show will definitely fall under the parameters of the, that big deal, 1976. You can use this for criticism, education, research, journalistic reporting, so on and so forth. And I am a spiritual researcher. Now, people, I'm sure, wonder, what is a spiritual researcher? And all I can really say is that I think it would be very wise to ask somebody that coined the phrase. And that would be my friend Randy Moggins of Off Planet Radio and TV. He said that a long time ago. "Suze, you're a spiritual researcher." I was a girl that hadn't even done a show online. I mean, I had done some YouTubes, which basically come to find out is the same thing as doing a show. And it's amazing when you think about what musicians know, how talented they are, how much access they have to technology, how connected they are. All of a sudden you see, hey, it's kind of easy to make a movie too, or do a video, or manipulate like footage that you're seeing on CCN or Fox or CNN or wherever. And then you think, well, how can you really do business if you're not sure who you're doing business with? Sometimes, most of the time, good people wind up getting taken advantage of by poor business practices. Now, after 30 years of seeing every racket, I can tell you that people don't know what they're getting into when they get into it. Prime example, this whole saga with David Wilcock and Gaia TV and not knowing what a proper letter is or a signature or any of these things. It's kind of the same thing we're dealing with on the internet. It's amazing that people are following the same business model, and we see it in that account, so I bring it into testimony, that these were good people. They had established jobs. They had the good life. And then the corporation or the industry or whatever job they were doing that wasn't right livelihood, like my friend Gerald Salente talks about, well, see, they brought all their slick tricks and came online, kicked up their businesses, and, you know, I think when people are traumatized after losing their career, that it would be easy, it'd be so easy to fall into the very training that you don't like, as many children do. Even if they don't like their parents' behavior, they come to be their parents. And in my case, oh, I saw what they were doing wasn't something that vibrated with me, and I didn't appreciate it, and it even offended my spirit. So I decided I would do things differently, and this started so long ago, and maybe that's why they needed me to talk about it. Okay, so I was really supposed to be at Chesterfield Mall today, and you say, why, Suze? You don't go to the malls and shop and do all these things. Well, little did I know how deserted Chesterfield Mall was. So, in the meantime, I had got involved, and this is one of the posts we'll be looking at. Over retailed in Chesterfield, struggling mall tops concerns. Well, I was supposed to be there, and I was so excited to have an opportunity to share my wares with a bunch of business women, because seriously, I have catered to women and professionals and business for 35 years now. But things didn't work out quite like that. So, I want to let you know what I was going to do today. We'll go there first. And like I said, under the Fair Use Act of 76, I have to use this to help explore what exactly happened. So this is unfortunate that I missed it. It makes me sad. And the reason I missed it, I'll show you in a video. But this is the Awakening Project St. Louis. And I had driven out to Foster Park. It was about 5 weeks ago. And that's when we had talked about me showing up to Chesterfield on the 14th. Well, of course, we were also going to meet on the 26th. Marissa and her assistant was going to come to the house here in Ferguson, and she was really excited. She was going to photograph my jewelry. She had a white box. She's a photographer. And they didn't make it. Now, I've been through these things before in 35 years of business, so I thought, hey man, that's cool. But in the meantime, she had just done a live stream about it really bugs her when people don't show up. And that's when I had to look at it a little deeper. Now, there was a storm that night, and the thing about me is I've had such a hard way to go. I don't chase anybody down, but I do find blessing in it. So the blessing in meeting Marissa and going to the Awakening Project in the park and toting all my stuff was that it was very easy for me to find a way to get my things in a little red wagon and drive it around. I mean, pull it, we're pulling the wagon, right? But it was an easy way to get things there. And so when I got back here, I was able to organize and merchandise it better. So there's always a blessing, even if things don't work out. And I wish the Awakening Project much happiness and success, as well as all of our cities, because this has nothing to do with just St. Louis. And I learned that in the Ferguson thing. People are always embarrassed when it's in their backyard. I guess that's why Elvis sang that song, Clean Up Your Own Backyard. What do I know? So I wanna say, boy, I sure do wish I was there. And this would be hashtag What's Your Beauty. And Marissa is going to help photograph, and this is the person that she has teamed up with. So this would be the business professionals I would have been meeting this very day, and we'll check them out too and kind of bounce around. But this was the message from this morning.
That is voice off like all day, like what the hell? So the What's Your Beauty campaign launch is July 14th here in the STL. Hope I'm seeing lots of you.
I wish you were seeing me too.
One of the things that I get feedback on is I don't do a lot of collaborations, so I'm pretty excited to join the Aries collection of 321 Beauty Bar in this launch. Because it's kind of my own. I'm the creator of the project that is inviting women to really take this step forward into their authenticity to find who they are. The What's Your Beauty campaign is just taking it a little bit further, and they're asking women to step in front of the lens and define what beauty means to you. Your beauty may be brave. Your beauty may be bold. Your beauty may be success or aspirations. It's a lot of different things. So beauty means something different to everybody. Which is why we're inviting people to come on down, step in front of the lens, and be part of this launch. So for those of you that don't know, 321 Beauty Bar is a offshoot of the Aries collection. The Aries collection is locally owned and woman founded and operated. So pretty excited about that because that's kind of right up my alley. That's kind of what I do. So always shit that I love to support, and we want to support women-owned businesses. We want to get out there and just we want to be able to put our dollars behind local women-owned businesses because that's how we thrive. So definitely, if you're in the STL, we're going to be at the business launch. And that's going to be on July 14th. That's this Saturday. They're located inside Chesterfield Mall. So we're on the lower level. So definitely come on out and check us out. So we're inviting all models to arrive about 10:30, 11 o'clock. Wear a white top, blue jeans, Any styles, totally up to you. But we want to see you. Hey, Amanda. So we want to see you step in front of the lens and define your beauty. What does it mean to you? So we're going to be there from 11 to 1. There's actually about 13 different vendors that are going to be there as well.
I was going to be one of
An
them.
opportunity to network and to support other local women-owned businesses.
Right.
So there's going to be some great opportunities. And also, you can come down and you can learn more about the Awakenings Project STL. You'll have an opportunity to learn more about the Aries collection at 321 Beauty Bar and what their mission is, and also the mission of the Awakenings Project STL. So it's a collaboration that I'm really excited about, because again, it's not something that I do very often. So I'm pretty jazzed to be stepping in, behind the camera to really look at defining ourselves a different way. Hey, Judy. So I'm jazzed. If you're in the St. Louis area, come on down, grab a friend. We really, to support the mission of the owner of 321 Beauty Bar, we want to see real women. A lot of the images that come out in magazines, in the advertising that's really given to women, it's very Photoshop.
Both ears.
And it presents this ideal that is not necessarily realistic. So we want real women. We want to see, all heights, all shapes, all sizes, all colors. So come down and step in front of the lens and define your beauty. So for those that are following just the Awakenings Project STL, a little bit coming up on that side as well. St. Louis sessions will continue on August 4th. So I'll be rolling that schedule out before too long, probably in the next couple of days. If you are a newsletter subscriber, the newsletter is going to be going out right around the 15th. FYI, there is a flash sale coming up, and it's going to go to subscribers first. Why are we doing a flash sale? We need to get to New York. So we have been invited to New York City, and these things cost money. So we are hoping to be able to generate the support so that we can actually get to New York City, because there's a population there that wants to see us there. So if you're in Chicago, I'll see you on August 25th. So I'll be up there. If you're in Louisville, Kentucky, we are looking at, I think, the first weekend in October. New York, we are aiming for September. So, and then I've got Denver in the works. We'll be looking at that hopefully either September or November. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity happening right now. So St. Louis sessions, we're probably going to be doing anywhere from maybe once to twice a month. And that process is going to change just a little bit. So just because of some of the scheduling issues that we've had in the STL. So you guys will see that roll out soon. Calvin says, true is being true to you. 100%. There's something absolutely radiant about being true to who you are. And when you step into that...
Johnny Brown, my apologies. A hairdresser buddy, good. William Russell, my friend from high school. And Henrik Throw Hansen. Thanks for coming in.
That's the only way that we continue to be seen, and we need your help to do it. So I'll talk to you all really, really, really soon. Also got a resolution, the end of the Revolutionary War.
Oh, right, the Revolutionary War.
Last Friday.
Yeah, I think that's very smart.
I will probably go live sometime
I really
today to talk
do.
about the end of the Revolutionary War.
Lord, I hope
and
so.
the issues that happened.
You guys
and patriarchy about.
may be powerful allies on that.
So I'll talk to you all really soon. Follow us on our platforms, share our posts, and remember to absolutely be real, stay authentic,
Yep.
and stay magical.
And keep the 6 heart
Hey,
virtues
St. Louis.
at the forefront of your experience, because we need to have great understanding in these days. So I'm going to plug my charger into the phone, and I want to move down the page and show you a little bit and introduce you to 321 Beauty Brands. Now, in the meantime, what I do when I do my spiritual research, for those of you that know, or my job as a remote viewer, is try to build bridges and to tag synchronicities and put them into an organized manner so people can see the bigger picture. That's something I was very comfortable with, whether it was growing up or in my years as an entrepreneur. Um, when you got so many things coming down on you, a lot of people get stuck into one particular part of it, and I think that that's where we have a lot of dissent. So what cued me to what I would call a problem in my world would be, now Marissa was having a problem with her eyeliners. You know, she writes the word on the arm. Now, if a hairdresser with a license did that, we would be in direct violations of state board sanitization and sterilization. And when I get into the Aries collection and 321 beauty brands, it made me sad because I never promoted certain services because they were either using a toxic chemical or it was an illusion of beauty instead of what I would call natural beauty. And surely I'm not one of the beautiful ones. I mean, that's okay. I've got my own style, and I appreciate that. And it's funny, you know, I've been harassed all my life about my looks. To this, not enough that. I'm surely not perfect. And that's so tough because us women, like I said, are dealing with so much manipulation of beauty. And these days, I mean, you dress most guys up and they look better than some of us women. And you know, that's a sticky subject. But anyhow, these ladies are selling bags of hair, and they also have a cosmetic that they would be involved in, which would be lipsticks, lip glosses, and eyeliners. I'm sure there's more than that. But I get the connection. Hi, Sherry. We're talking about business and how excited I was for a minute that I was going to get an opportunity to do business. But in my investigation, there were things that just gave me those little tags, you know. And as a businesswoman of over 30 years running a commercial business, you know, service industry, beauty salon, hair emporium, and dealing with thousands of clients, there's just certain things I don't do. For example, my first job, I worked out of beauty school. I worked in an all-black hair salon. I know how to do relaxers. I know how to do curls. I grew up in North County, y'all. Come on. And really, we should never judge a person by their skin color. And as professional hairdressers, what we work with is the texture of the hair. And as we know, you can be any different color in the world and have the same texture of hair as someone that they might say, if you call a salon, because I dealt with this a lot in the 90s. You know, I was the first salon in North County that welcomed a multicultural staff of self-employed hairdressers to work at the hair emporium, because before that, you either went to the white girl's shop or the black girl's shop. Everybody knows it's true. It's the same thing as barbers. Anyhow, I never chose to do relaxers because the pH starts at a 9.5 and goes up to 14. And it can melt hair. And if I would have ever damaged anybody's hair doing it, I would have thrown up. I'm an empath. These are my friends and family. These are people I have tight relationships with, and that's why I was the first girl to use enzyme developers or non-toxic ammonia-free hair color pigments. It is what it is, and that's why I have a national accreditation as a master hair colorist. It's all what you want to do with your business. But what is so tough about this was the makeup, because it's private label cosmetics, which means, here again, in my industry, this started about 20 years ago. So if I wanted to have a hair emporium shampoo and conditioner, yes, I could have had one, and it would have been a generic formula that they pumped into a bottle and put my logo on. I would expect even the most basic people now know that this is how small business works. It's also how big business works. Remember, think about what's going on with the health food store saga, Whole Foods, or with, say, someone like where you figure out, well, hey, Aldi's has got great food, and those Cocoa Puffs taste just like these other Cocoa Puffs, but these ones are 50 cents cheaper because it's not the name you guys know. That's private label cosmetics. But recently I just saw the first private label. Well, wait, let me take that back. I didn't see it. I heard about it on the radio. It was fascinating. Private label organic foods, and they would be mailed to your door. Very interesting. Now, not that we're talking about everybody's interest rates going up to 25% on their charge cards today. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about no business, no way for self-employed people to work, poor business ethics, for lack of no better word. To me, private label always reminds me of saying you own a pizza joint, and they go, oh, what's the name of your pizza shop? And you go, Domino's. I mean, it's a chain. It's a way to group bigger amounts of people together and suck up the money. Okay, now here's what goes on with the Awakening Project. So you would give a word that defines your beauty. And then Marissa, photographer, we'll take a picture of you. She's the photographer. And you would give her your story of why you chose that word. You can only imagine my stories, right? You guys know my stories. Well, that's lovely. And when we were at Faust Park, one of the things that we were discussing was it sucks when you offer somebody your time, your knowledge, and your expertise to invest and they don't show up. In my business, that's called a no-show. In fancy salons, you would always have a cancellation fee. So you cancel the day of your service, man, you want to walk back in there, you'll pay that fee. Now, what we had discussed at Faust Park when I met Marissa face to face was the idea that they mocked me about years ago, which was that anything you give for free is not appreciated. I'll flip that over into other language for you now. Funny Sonny, my friend, behind the scenes, the guy that had to publicly slander me first, God love him, right? He's reading a script. It's something else entirely. But, hey, all these scripts are what people pull their comments out of. So, it tends to become important when you find out that maybe some people aren't real people and you're talking to them or they're making comments. Well, anyhow, do I want to tag Pearson Earkirk in this video? I'd like to give him a hug and a big kiss on the cheek. Where's Pierce at? I haven't talked to him for 27 years. Why are you offering me Pierce? Pierce sold us the big yellow house. Hey, Pierce, have you seen the neighbor's yard yet, or where you can check in at 20 Royal and see the real pictures that are going on? It sucks. We got hubbub up on Royal. I wish I had a help button, but anyhow, Pierce, you know I love you, and my heart is always with you, and I know you're one of the good guys. So back to this story, okay? We discussed that. And in the end, you gotta remember, your buddy Suze, you know, that shares all her information free, that silly girl. See, I made a lot of money, like Funny said, for other people when I did business, because I gave them everything. I charged them barely anything, and I gave them all my emotional currency too, which is my energy as a healer and a holistic stylist. Yakety squack. Well, my intellectual property, along with every other human beings on the planet, has been stolen, not just only on the internet, but by the laws, rules, and regulations set in place in these here United States. But now we realize it's worldwide, so we're not going to pick on anybody, man. We're just talking about the entire collapsing of everything that was built on sand, with no strong cornerstone, so on and so forth. Well, anyhow, I figured, hey, that's the way, you know, that Marissa would be able to raise some money besides the t-shirts and the jewelry. Now, the jewelry was what first brought me there, because I made a line of jewelry. And I thought, hey, I can hang with some other chicks. And I figured it was an incubator business kind of a situation, which is where nobody has the money anymore to have a storefront. And even if you did have the money to have a storefront, well, if all your malls and what they call anchor stores and all of the big businesses that are corporations are closing down, kind of like Lowe's. You know, Lowe's is going to be closing it down this year, is what they say on the grapevine. But in the meantime, they got millions and billions of dollars that they want to throw to have another hotel down in Ballpark Village. Guess what it's going to be called? Lowe's. Now, to me, that's Hoosier. I mean, it really is. But at the same time, you can use those big vacant metal buildings for all sorts of scary, creepy things. And even if you make it look like it's a bunch of townhouses, people will get sick building syndrome. Those are metal buildings. You really shouldn't live in any kind of structure that's not organic, they know. As best we can these days, right? But no windows, one way in, one way out. Kind of like the kids at the Walmarts, and next thing you know, you're crying about Nazi Germany and getting a fight because somebody said it really didn't happen. Hey, don't tell me what's really happening, because I sit less than 90 days away from losing it all. So, see, if I'd be like David Wilcock, if I had been like him, see, I would have gone today, because it would have been all about the Benjamins. And I would have walked my silly ass right in there with my red wagon and set up shop and hoped to make a few $100s so we can continue to live and breathe. But I'd be as full of shit as everybody else then, wouldn't I? So it's all about what will you sell out for, what will you roll over for, and who's going to shove that broom up your butt. And I'm not in, man. Alright, so anyhow, the money would have been made possibly on the sales of the book, and then as I was checking out Marissa's page, sure as shit, she had a book published, which is what anybody should do. They should follow their business plan. I'm not giving her trouble. I'm just talking about small businesses and women and people and humans sticking together, because the more you look down this page, The gal that's involved at the highest levels on this page is running for Congress. And my buddy Marissa was very, 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 very involved. And I met her. She shared with me that it was her group that was cleaning up Andy Worm Tire on on South Florissant, which is directly across the street from the police station. And this was during the martial law and the whole whoop-de-doo after they left Mike Brown's dead body laying in the street for over 5 hours. All the hell that came after that, including the burning down of this city less than a year later. So I'm here. I lived through it, and I lost everything on account of it, and alienated countless people because I was making Ferguson look bad. But at the whole time, they had told me I was never welcome to live or work here, but I got to buy a house from Pierce. And Dave Pope said he'd take all my money, and I got charged twice the rent of what any other business person in Ferguson does. And that's a bona fide fact. Pull Dave Pope's records. Or go ask Mike Hurst for his occupancy permit at 25 South Florissant, because there hasn't been one for pushing 25 years. But Claire McCaskill's headquarters for her politics is there. It's true. So you see, the agenda is everywhere. As someone that Facebook asked to check out local businesses in my place, you know where I live, Ferguson, imagine my amazement when I saw that the building that Dr. Robin Lawrence had been in, and a little local hair shop and some other small-owned businesses now were all gone. And that entire building was full of government agencies. It's like, really? So now we have to talk about Chesterfield Mall and the condition of Chesterfield Mall, which is where I was supposed to be today. And I didn't know how sad it was. So you can see all these things spinning in my head that are connecting. And I was like, what are you going to do with this? And how are you going to bring it? So if I'm a little more nervous than normal, my apologies. And my tummy hurts. Because this is really hard. I mean, I don't want to offend anybody. That's the last thing I want to do. So, as you can see, in an eyeliner is written the word that the woman is going to tell her story concerning. You know, why she chose that word. And what the problem was with the cross-contamination, with or without lotions or oils or cosmetic preparations, is, man, see, you're so lucky when you don't have a professional beauty license, because nobody can sue you. But if it were me doing that, like let's say all of a sudden Marissa had to go to the bathroom, and she said, hey, Suze, well, I mean, you have beautiful writing. Would you write the name on the girl? I gotta go. I'd be breaking the law. Now, just to give a tip, because I'll revert back to my professional training quite a bit through this presentation. What you could do to sanitize and sterilize the eyeliner, which will cost you money because it's a waste product, is you would take a sharp edge, whether it be a razor blade or, you know, the sharpener. You guys know what I'm talking about. And you could bring it back down to that point again. But I know from doing professional hair shows and working on stage and industry stuff, there's no time for that. And there's no state board up your butt. But Marissa was very upset in one of her live streams because her makeup was getting ruined. And that made me real nervous. Now, this one is her pet peeves, which was people not showing up for appointments. And I'm not even trying to put my girl out there. She's busy. She got 2 kids. She's got a man. And she's working through her own things. Marissa's no different than most of the people I've met online. She'd like to have her own business and not have to work her dopey day job. I mean, she digs her day job, and she gets to help women at her day job. So, what she does say is a nurse calls, a licensed professional calls, and says, hey, where should I go work? This is what Marissa told me at Foss Park. You know, if I want to excel in pediatrics or in labor and delivery, and she would tell them where to go. Back in the days of money, they used to call those headhunters. You know, like putting people in certain jobs. As I was putting all this together for my own witness and spiritual investigation of, and to illustrate what's happened to business, but more importantly, what we need to do to get business back up and running. Because here again, we got war breathing on our necks anyhow. We don't need it over little things, and that's what they really want. For us to all go to war against each other. And this is a political page. She's got an issue with men, and I was like, oh shit, man, I love men. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here quick. Because it felt a little militant. And she's angry. And I've already worked through my anger stuff. People call me a bitch all day long because I bring basic truths. But again, as a life charter and someone that's dealt with major trauma and has the facts, figures, statistics, paperwork, and life experience to back everything I say, I think maybe my job is to help people. Funny Sonny, the astrologer, says that's why people hate Pisces, because we want to help people. But isn't that what you're doing when you're volunteering or being in a group? Oh, wait, now we got low-quality photos of what's going on. All right, let's see what's going on, girl. I wish I was there. I wish I could have gone and been Susie Cool, you know? I don't see him. That's all right. I want to go to the beauty brands thing real quick and kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, this wasn't a good night either. And I noticed all the live streams. There was pretty big problems going on. Okay, it's about going to New York. Now, I felt like this should be brought in because it's really all I'm doing. And this is a post that the Awakenings Project St. Louis shared on July 7th. And it says, the woman you're becoming will cost you people, relationships, spaces, and material things. Choose her over everything. Now, a lot of people have thought concerning me that I'm selfish because there were times I had to put myself first, many times, or it would have cost me a lot of my life. But more importantly, it gave me the strength to love myself, because you really can't love anybody else unless you love yourself. How else can you give yourself to anyone? So, at the same time, the people behind the scenes that are studying my existence, they know I put other people first. And that's not because I'm wanting brownie points or anything. It's actually a medical condition, and it's because of my blood type. And A blood types, whether you're positive or negative, because there's another war, we internalize our stress. And maybe Marissa and her friends are more O blood types, because O blood types have to get their stress out. So they could speak, they could yell, they could scream, they could sing, they could punch a punching bag, they could run a marathon. You get the idea. Where an A blood type, see, we're kind of messed up because we just want everybody to get along and love each other. So we will transmute that energy, and that's part of alchemy. Now, when I talked about this page being just a little bit with an agenda, I feel the Me Too movement, and of course later on I went on to discover it, no doubt, as well as the political statements that are being made. And let's remember, I have not voted for a president for over 2 decades because I knew back then it was a setup and our votes never counted. And we still got people going to war over this simple fact. If our votes counted, this world would be a different place. There's no amount of politics that can fix it. So, when I first showed this page to Joe, what he commented on was the lack of composition. And that's no judgment against Marissa or her work. She's trying to get the statement out, which is the word. Her focus is on the word. Everybody has a focus. Don't be hating on it. But, it's hard for me to look at this without feeling pain. Now, I'm not sure why. I'm just giving my responses without getting too deep. See, originally the way I got here, like I said, is I thought these girls were jewelry makers. And then when you realize that it's kind of like, it reminds me of, like the Things Remembered store. You know, you'd get a nice amulet from Things Remembered and they'd engrave whoever you love or happy birthday to whoever. I didn't realize it wasn't homemade. Now, in my mind, I purchased this V-neck tee, heather gray. So whether you want to look at this and think it's heather gray or this, I thought this was heather gray. To me, that's heather gray. The shirt that I got was way darker than this, and the writing you could not see. And Marissa did warn me that you couldn't see the writing. But I didn't take it literal. And that's what all these wars are about too, literal and interpretive. I'm cool with the t-shirt. I took my gold sparkly puff paint, and with my artistic hand, I actually wrote the letters in so you could see them. And I'm an artist, it wasn't no big deal. I cut the sleeves off like I do because I'm a healthy sweater. Which means I would have never used antiperspirant and clogged up my pores. Which is exactly why I don't have Alzheimer's now. I never use secret deodorant. Hi, sweet Mia. So, anyhow, in beauty school, one of the hardest things I had to do with dealing with my self-confidence as a heavy sweater was holding my arms up all day in front of a daggum mirror. I mean, you guys feel me, right? And that's why when you see me in the clothes that I wear, I'll usually wear like an A-line kind of t-shirt. Some people call them wife beaters, which I'm not for anybody beating their wives or their husbands or their kids. But, you know, no sleeves. And I wear black. And really being with you guys and doing this daggum job that I do, I can actually wear a shirt now and sweat through it. I mean, and that came over 30 years of working behind the chair and doing platform for shows. It was all gradual. And all my experience is a culmination of everything I've been through. So, anyhow, let me get out of there. Okay. And then, of course, these are the pictures. And, this tap thing I thought was going to be where we got down to business, but it never got that far, and too many things happened in the middle. And like I said, when she was complaining about people not showing up, and then she didn't show up on a stormy night, it seemed a little spooky. And then she never called me to say, hey, Suze. So I let it slide, man, and said, peace be with you. Okay. We have photos and videos, they're on Instagram, and the two nice young girls I met, they both work for the military. They're stuck in it. They're sad. One has to go to Italy for 6 months, and the other is stuck in Belleville. And I was so excited because I thought maybe, nobody wants me in Ferguson. Okay. St. Louis is falling apart. Okay. Would I go across the river if there was a bunch of holistic people waiting for a great hairdresser? And of course, that dream was crushed too. But hey, I've been through this a million times, and I'm not crying, and I think I'm willing to bet my life on it that better things are coming for myself and for all of us. So I continue to carry on and try to be brave. This is the Awakening Project sharing the What's Your Beauty campaign photo shoot, and this would be where I would have won today. Chesterfield Parkway W, Chesterfield, Missouri, 63017. And I'm the only nutty bitch that liked it. Well, right. I kind of feel like I was getting set up, like I'd be stupid enough to enter in. Nobody else has liked it but me. And I liked it in the beginning because Marissa asked me to like it. And Marissa asked me to come to Faust Park and to bring my stuff. And when I brought my stuff, nobody else brought stuff that day. So, let's watch this. And here again, under the Fair Use Act of 1976, this is used for investigation, for journalism, for criticism, for education. And I am a professional cosmetologist, so here again. I know the ramifications if it were my actions, so there was no way I could go. Alright, let's watch it. I want the money in the cars. I just want to be successful. I just want to be successful. Now, that bugs me because even when I was successful, I wasn't down with the money and the cars and the bling. So that made me a little nervous, and I thought, hey, would these gals even appreciate jewelry like mine? So you get it. I want everyone to explore their own individual ways of thinking through a problem. Now, she's madder than a hornet here. And this is on July 1st, and this would be shortly after I had met her. Someone had the audacity to, well, hey, why don't, man, I'm gonna let you see because I gotta get some tea and pee. Lord have mercy on us all.
We share this to a couple of places. So I've had a lot of questions come through about perceptions.
I got my charger cord on the bottom of this string. Dadgummit. Hang on. Marissa, we both got problems today. I hope your day's going better than mine.
So I'm going to go ahead and drop this into the event as well. Because I know some people are watching the event, some people are watching the page.
Tag it, the event. Everybody's talking about the event.
Like share thing when I first pop on, so that ensures that everybody's catching it, depending on how you're following.
Never give up, friends.
If you're just joining us, drop your name and say hi. I want to know who's here. And be like, hi. Okay, I see a few.
All right, let me jump this along a little bit.
I don't hate men. There are some fantastical men. There are some exceptionally powerful womanist men. A lot of times, and this is kind of why we're going to talk about perception today, this topic is perceived a lot of times by men to be male bashing. It's not male bashing. This project came about because women and those that identify as women are often judged incorrectly, we're perceived incorrectly. We're perceived, women are often perceived as the quote unquote weaker sex. We're supposed to be, nurturing and compassionate and, like not really speak highly of ourselves, just take care of everything else. I can definitely say through the course of this project, that's not the case. I actually had sessions yesterday where this topic actually came up yesterday. We're often perceived as, in the background, not being able to lead. We're followers. We're supposed to be there to support everyone else except ourselves. That's not the case. A lot of the women that I've met through the course of this project have really stepped into who they are, stepped into their authenticity, and really own the fact that they're total badasses. Like women are capable of more than what we give credit to, more than what society gives credit to, more than sometimes what we give ourselves credit for. We're able to make people. It's kind of a big thing. We are able to lead companies. We're able to lead. We manage households, we manage companies, we manage people, we manage so much. You've got women out here leading not just, organizations, we've got women out here leading revolutions. So, to be able to like really step into that and proclaim that, a lot of times that perception is that we're dismissing men. That's not the case. So, and then just from a personal perspective, there's morning training. A lot of times there's a perception as an artist that people perceive me a different way. So that's definitely something we're going to talk about today. I do have, speaking of like male perceptions, I actually have Brian Suthers with me, who is my husband and the other half of Suthers Art Studio. For those that don't know, the Awakenings Project, STL, is actually a project of Suthers Art Studio. Suthers Art Studio has been around for a few years. A lot of times on the page, people generally see, my husband's work, his artwork, what he's working on, which is focused in graphite and digital, only because the Awakenings Project has grown so big that it actually had to kind of adopt its own page and its own site. So, but for those that don't know, it is a project of Southern Art Studio, which is why a lot of people that email me, like the response comes from Southern Art Studio. So I do have Brian with me today. We're going to talk to him a little bit about his perception of the project from a male perspective. Um, again, there's a lot of men out here that, I do get hate mail. I received a message, I think it was about 2 3 weeks ago. Someone told me to get my fat ass back to the kitchen. So that was fun.
And I told you they said I was an old hag and
Okay.
shouldn't dress like
Let me
this.
get my fat ass back to the kitchen. Okay. Yeah, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. If you're just joining us, go ahead and say hi so we know who we're talking to. But I'm going to kind of like flip the screen a little bit, which is not something that I normally do. So if I drop the phone or some
Okay, so let's jump ahead.
bear with me. But yeah, so this is kind of one of the things that just kind of comes.
She'd be interviewing her husband.
Would you say, just in viewing this particular project, would you say that this is threatening to men?
Now everything is threatening to men.
I don't understand it. We got the courts, we got the laws over in our favor and everything. It's just
Courts.
I don't understand why
Law.
a project like this would be just threatening to anybody.
I would agree.
Just with the whole men's rights, it's just
Men's rights.
I get if you want to like have a little bit better judicial when it comes to child support or something like that. That's one. That's a small focused aspect, But you also still have a lot of deadbeat dads out there too that aren't living up to their
Deadbeat dads.
or living up to their legal responsibilities as fathers.
Right.
You bear a kid or you help provide, the DNA to birth a child. You better
Tag
be
it.
ready to raise them.
If,
Until 18 financially, you better support them.
right, if you make a baby, I'm just saying. So one of the things, I've gone toe to toe with a couple of men's rights dudes, which has yielded interesting results. Simply because honestly, when it comes to stuff like that, I'm just like, okay, that's your opinion, that's great. I've had definitely been stereotyped as an artist as well. So we're kind of talking about perceptions today.
Artists
When
and
it comes to
perceptions.
perceptions, have you noticed that you've been stereotyped as an artist? Do you think that there is stereotypes that have been levied against you as a creative?
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if it's a stereotype that I actually received, but
Okay. So you get the idea, and I'm taking notes, and here again, this is all from my research, and we will take this farther and break it down to the whole disillusion of all of our artistic rights as well as intellectual property. And it's a huge problem. But already on this page, I've seen a lot of argument, and this is very early on. I was only involved not even 2 weeks, very short time. And what I was trying to do was get back out in the world. I've pretty much been a hermit since the fires in November of 2014, which led to me being evicted from 18 church over money, and the fire being set to the building that houses Little Caesars and Hidden Treasures. It was rebuilt with no back door. Tag it. With insurance money. Tag it. And Doyle, that lives in Illinois, is who chose to have that building built with no back door, no emergency exit, because Ferguson has no statutes on the book about this. In 30 years of running real estate property, I have never heard that one. So here again, when we're talking about threatening all of our ways of life, we don't have the courts we don't have law. It's lawless. So when I take it back to this having a political agenda in the Me Too movement and getting women to express themselves, we always know we're held up to mockery and judgment when we do that. And here again, I feel like it does even put a rift between men and women. Now, there's definitely some men that have a softer nature, like this gentleman here, so I can see him being a pawn in the middle of it and getting his heartstrings pulled all ways. And here again, I mean, there's a lot of dudes that this happens to, and that's why I go back to what I've found in my investigations. This is all comes down to one thing for everybody. So we're having to choose whether we are too fearful to love and live from our heart brain and speak up. And the machine knows this. So here again, I feel like these people are being puppeted. As a spiritual researcher and a woman in her 50s that has lived through much, they're in their crisis years. It's tough to raise kids. It's tough to survive. But as this decline happens, we cannot go cutthroat on each other. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I yell and holler, but I always do it with love. You know, like a mom does. Or like a dad does when he has to discipline his child. And I don't mean beat the fuck out of him with a belt. You get it? It doesn't have to be so polarized. And women these days are over masculinized. And that's not a hormonal thing. That's from being active and being out in the world. That's basic life charting and basic Steiner knowledge and basic psychology. Yeah, it really is. Women, a lot of these days, work every bit as hard as men do, and when I was married to Dopey the Turnip, I was the one that worked 7 days a week and had the 2 kids. So when we talk about deadbeat dads, the system is not there for me. I've been to Clayton. They know. I recorded it and documented it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. And he's also in all violations of what's known as parental alienation, which is when you talk shit on the other parent. And he continually does, and he hates me. Everybody feels really passionate about me. Either they really, really love me, or they can't stand me and hate me. And that's a hard thing to live with, besides all the other things. But I'm going to jump this ahead a little bit, because what happened is this nice guy, like I said, got the phone call and skirted around her, and she got pissed. Let's see where we're at.
So the Awakenings Project is coming to New York City. We are super excited. He's 16. And it's fun, you know, if we cross the finish line together. For centuries, generations, you know, women have really kind of sat in the background and not tooted our own horn. We're very apologetic. And that is the perception of women, is that women will just take care of things and they will apologize and be empathetic all the time. But the second that we open our mouth and use our voice, we then become bitchy or mouthy. I get mouthy a lot. Yes. You know, this is the perception. You know, so the perception of women is really what the Awakenings Project is trying to change. You know, we are real, we are authentic, and we connect with ourselves in more ways than society gives us credit for. You know, we've had this checklist that society expects us to go through. You know, finish high school, go to college,
Nope.
get married, have children. You know, that's kind of the checklist. You know, get a job, get a career is not a priority. You know,
But staying alive is.
So, Kathy, we will talk about that for sure.
Okay. This isn't the one where she's angry. I thought it was. But it was still good to hear her husband's words, which I hadn't heard yet. So, you know, what if you took a bunch of pictures like this and you put them in a gallery, just with as cynical as people are? What do you think people are saying about those pictures? I think it's like a shiny bauble, it feels like to me. Kind and awake. This gal trips me out every time. Her word is hungry. I'm not quite sure what she's hungry for. She looked like she got that gleam in her eye, though. And here again. How many people can honestly own that they feel free in their bodies, no matter what size or shape they are? But you see what that implies. And then here again, the jokes and all the different things. Now, like I said, I get made fun of continually. But I think that we can be courageous in better ways than what we're working with here. And that's why I said, too, I feel like it's agenda. The LTGB, blah, blah, all the 31 classifications and flavors. The thing that I had to say about this picture is this girl has a beautiful body. But the posture doesn't suggest shameless. And I know that's all artistic interpretation, but if I'm perceiving it this way, and I'm not even somebody you can rile up without a real big reason, how's other people going to take it? Look at this. Now she's pragmatic. There's your movement. I've seen enough because I was initiated into this, the most important game on the face of the earth, and this crazy media disclosure and all the misinformation and disinformation that we've been dealing with since 1780, 1850. I mean, even before 1776. But see, here again, this woman picked strength as her word. Now, what really got me sad in the heart and made me think was when I had my squirt bottle mister there with my elixir water on a 100-degree day. And I said, hey, your kid looks like she's going to pass out. Squirt this, this is water. What's in there? Fucking nasty. I'm like, girl, I'm the holistic stylist. This is medical grade elixir water that's been, the vibration's been raised with crystals and love and Dr. Emoto water cards. What do you mean what's in my squirt bottle? Now, I was there this day, but none of my pictures are there. And this little girl bought a necklace and never even had the courtesy to mail me my $35. So not only was my time and energy put to the test, and my business skills and my diplomacy, now I also got to deal with being ripped off and still hold my head high. Because here again, I trusted someone. Right, that little girl right there, Molly George. Where's my money, little girl?
Never did send it. All these months later.
Hey, they're all pictures of her. What's going on? All right, let me.
No
Get
pictures
out
of me
that
being
one.
there, or the hundreds of pieces
You know,
of jewelry
really,
I
I'm kind of tired of all
brought.
this. Why don't
Right.
we go and see Chesterfield Mall where the girls are at today? Because I think you already might actually smell what I stepped in.
And the scarab and the
Okay.
stone.
Now,
All the
Chesterfield,
pictures of
for
that.
anybody that doesn't know, is the swanky part of St. Louis. It's West County. And all these gals are out there as the mall is closing. What that reminded me of is Jamestown Mall and how they let anything go for years and let that place hit the skids. And then the Port Authority buys it for $1. Well, guess who bought stupid Chesterfield Mall? That's in part of one of these dumb stories. Yeah, the Queen herself.
Her real
Couldn't
estate
fucking
people.
believe it. Yeah, let's play that one first. I'm bouncing off the walls. That one really pissed me off. Oh, you gotta be able to laugh, y'all.
This
Come
is
on.
summer.
Here it is.
My summer
Let's do this
activities.
one. Now, I posted this 3 hours ago. And I said, yeah, when I was growing up, this place was a snob fest. No different than the St. Louis Galleria where Apple ripped me off.
That's right.
Yeah, and others here in St. Louis. This is where the big action is today, which I had hoped would not turn out like this. Okay, let's go.
Well, new this morning,
Look.
the next time you go shopping in Chesterfield, you could see some new things. The Saber Group has purchased the Taubman Prestige outlets. Now, they plan to
Taubman Prestige Outlet Malls. Taubman.
Shopping. And that's not the only change that you could see. That same group is also buying up
Here.
space at Chesterfield Mall.
The Taubman Group.
The Business Journal, the Saber Group also purchased the Sears building at the mall, giving them control
Oh.
over what will take place there. The entire Chesterfield
Wait.
Mall site is over 1 million square feet, which
Tag it. Now, this is just like a condo, y'all. Let's say you live in a condo and you share a roof with 2 other people and your roof caves in. You know what a pain in the ass that is, and your neck, right? Well, here, that's what happened at Jamestown. They bought up the anchor store spaces. How can you sell just a part of a building? How do you leave the lights and electric on and allow a gym to be in there when it's flooded? That winds up happening to be in the 25 South Florissant location. How do these things just happen to happen? Well, they allow it, is how it happens to happen. And then they keep taking our interest rates up and telling us we got low credit scores and telling us we suck and we don't have no place to live and we can't work with our hands and we can't do business.
currently occupied.
This is the first step in what could be something further down the road. It's going to take a while, but it might actually happen. It might actually bring some people back to the area.
Jackass. Oh,
No word on what
Yeah, I
the
did. I
owners
said it.
have planned for the Chesterfield Mall.
bullshit.
Sears will remain open for the immediate future.
Oh, Lord have mercy. And people were just crying big buckets of tears over this Sears closing down in Chesterfield. There's Sears. Right. People in Chesterfield never even lived in North County. You know, it was way too dangerous 40 years ago. Remember, this is all coming to you from the divided state of Missouri, as well as the prophetic destiny of Missouri. And I've lived in St. Louis, Missouri all my days. Within a 5-mile air radius, I have seen the decline. I am connecting the dots that other people around the world now connect to. I've had years of experience in this. I stayed here, and people drove into me. That's how bad it was. And it's getting way worse. Alright, over-retailed in Chesterfield. in a flood zone, like the Mills Mall. Oh yeah, they knew. They knew that it'd be up for so long. Hey, what's going on? Oh, this is the one I gotta read. Right, we don't even like the music. Okay. Now, this is what they're gonna say about the mall. And Marissa and 321 Beauty Bar, Yakety Squack, is in a vacant mall on the lower level as we speak. And this is where I was supposed to tote my shit to the vacant mall. You know what? Blow me sideways. With over 4 million square feet of shopping space, most of which is housed in Chesterfield Mall, and 2 nearby outlet developments, Chesterfield, quote, is simply over-retailed, said Pace Properties Vice President Jim Rosen at a recent real estate conference. Well, Mr. Rosen, were you also on the committee that pushed through the big outlet mall, which is the reason why now it's over-retailed? Because when you pushed it through there in Chesterfield, where everything was all nice and white and tight and right, we'll see, you pulled the last bit of life out of the Mills Mall. But you knew that, right? Because you guys are doing this all across the United States, I know for sure. I see it every damn day. And around the world, too. Right, this is your plug-in algorithm program for destruction is what it is. Alright, next. Understanding the property's critical role in the city's future. Officials with the city of Chesterfield are watching closely at the next iteration of Chesterfield Mall begins to unfold. That means they need action to happen there quick. So what they do is they bring in some props and baubles and take out things that cost money and strip the place down and let the next low-class group of people, because see, that was high class, that was way up here, see, and we're way down here like me living on Lower Royal, like I told you, and we live on Upper Royal, but it doesn't matter, it's people's perceptions. So see, you let the next group in, which is foreigners and black people in their minds. Hey, don't anybody ever try to call me prejudiced.
Yeah,
You guys
Canedra.
know better. This is just me speaking the truth. And I'll tell you what, when a white girl was the only bitch that spoke up firsthand about what happened with Mike Brown, well, the black people knew I was cool. So if anybody wants to pull the racial card right now, somebody needs to run back in my YouTube and look up Love Letters to Ferguson, Mike Brown and me.
And it all has to do with the primaries.
Alright. St. Louis County has remained open to customers, but a dwindling number of tenants is leading to scarce foot traffic. Just like I told you, even if I had a street location, you don't have foot traffic anymore because they're shutting it down. On an afternoon last week, the corridors of vacant storefronts resembled a ghost town. This was published on on February 25th, tag it. That's my birthday. They love to spell cast on people's birthdays.
Just like the satellite footage.
Alright.
February
This
25th.
year. No shit. 2018. You think I would have been walking into I went there a day?
Yeah.
And these are powers and principalities. The off people. Do you get it? Alright.
They didn't have anybody show up anyhow.
One afternoon last week, the corridor's vacant storefronts resembled a ghost town. Store employees and the remaining retailers were hunched over their cell phones with few customers to serve. No kidding. They don't have the front number on this. It was a certain month, the 22nd day in the year 2018. The photo is by Brian Felt, F-E-L-D-T. Of course, he's with Post Dispatch. Chesterfield officials were told the property would be put up for sale in November.
During the
Alright.
primaries. You gotta be kidding. Wow, tag
November
it.
of 2018.
Hmm.
And this is July, mid-July. And this is where 321 Beauty Brands says a whole bunch of people is going to be to hang out with and network. Feels like it's moving at a snail's pace from our perspective, but we think it's imminent. Chesterfield City Administrator Mike Giesel said of the mail being placed on the market for sale. Oh, well, yeah, on their flyer, I mean, hey, this is getting sold in one of the fanciest places in St. Louis, I kid you not. It was farmland in the 70s, rich, fertile farmland on a floodplain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there was always a few houses high on the hill, right? The land got parceled off, just like in St. Charles and O'Fallon, which is the reason why that's now the ghetto too. They build substandard housing. I'll just talk to somebody like Joe or a carpenter that knows union guidelines and standards. They're not being followed. They're putting up wet, warped, moldy wood because that's all they got. And they don't care because the drywall will cover it. And they won't even be a company by the time your driveway separates from your basement, like our friend Dan Ford out there. And they want to come after him to make the payment. Really? Bullshit. And bullshit with your mall out there in Chesterfield. I will never go there and shop at that outlet mall, by the way. Not like you give a shit. Because I'm just scum from North County. Now this is an illegal document. It's a memorandum. And it says the city believes the mall will be sold in 2018. The city, and look how it's small letters. So this isn't an official statement. And I've seen a lot of this tomfoolery. Kind of like David Wilcock. Like his resignation from Gaia that's not signed and it's just a script. I'll bet you that's what's going on here in government. The city is limited, say, in bullshit, in what could replace the mall, but can, to an extent, control the character and density of any future development based on land restrictions already in place. How about that for some twisted tales? Something along the lines of the streets of St. Louis. Hey, I wonder if Chesterfield Mall remembers when they built that big St. Louis plaza in the middle of downtown and blocked all the traffic. It was the biggest deal for a while. And then it went vacant, remember, because nobody could get there. And then from there they tried to turn it into something else. And now they're back to working it again, and Lowe's is building a new hotel at Ballpark Village. Do any of you people hear the repeat in this again? All you people that went to college, all you people that sit on governing boards, all you people that hold local office, all of you people that got to keep up with the Joneses. Because, hey, I'll tell you what, even your fancy pants aren't going to like 25% interest rates. And maybe you won't be able to afford your shit someday, too. You can go stay with your grandmama or what? Sleep in your car? Yeah, you can't be homeless and sleep in a public space no more either. Get it together. Rosen's Pace vice president said he would be surprised to see a multifamily component on the site, given the fact that several other apartment projects or senior living facilities are planned nearby. Tag it. That's what I talked about earlier. Can you imagine how many people could theoretically live in here with no windows? And let me bring up too, remember all their restrictions that they just said they want to keep control of? You have different building requirements for commercial than you do residential. And I don't know if anybody's forgotten about that, but they know how to get around it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be what they call plant businesses locating spaces all over vacant places to make people think that it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Hey, do you guys know that you have to fill out the census too this year? $5,000 fine if you don't. Do you know the last time they enacted something like that was in the days that Jesus, the man that we learned from about what it's like to be Christed and to be crucified? It's been that long.
I
So
still
the
don't
census,
have it in the
like
mail.
that, as well as now we know why they push the Medicare and the Medicaid on you even if you don't go to the doctor or the meds. It's to get you in the database. But here again in the state of Missouri, and check your state laws, each one are different. I have the right to videotape and record everything that I do. Now, of course, I'm representing myself pro se, and I don't know how much of it has been seen and by whom, but I know Mr. Computer had seen it, and I know they need people's testimonies, and I know if my time's up, my time's up. So, I have to tell you guys your time's up, and anybody that's playing these games needs to stop, drop, and roll. They need to cease and assist. They need to quit pilfering funds from we the people and build multi-million-dollar death buildings. Because that's what these are. They just look nice so your dumbass don't know. Yeah. Challenge my ass. Demolishing the existing structure would also be an expensive opt for a developer taking a risk on an already retail saturated area of St. Louis. That's where the money's saturated at, ding-dongs. And I think that that's on purpose because here now again we see the month missing. I'm going to say that it's February 22nd because this thing was published on February 25th. More than a year after a water main break. Isn't that convenient? Jamestown had a huge water flooding problem, and there were people living in there and green forest growing and the electricity on, kind of like it was a hothouse. I was always tripping they were trafficking people through there, putting them on boats, getting them over to that Chicago hospital, like port of entry for $1 bullshit. Tear it down so you don't know about the secret tunnels kind of stuff. I don't think Chesterfield's got secret tunnels. They were way too sophisticated and, what do you call it, cultured. Brian Felt, you and your pictures, dude. Upgrading parking lots at the mall would also be a must, the report noted. Hey, we're going to look at Jamestown next. Chesterfield officials are also aware of how a redo of the mall could affect city finances. Hey, Chesterfield, you know how North County did it, don't you? Unincorporated, right? You know about unincorporated. I don't think you're next to the city. You probably can't pull TIF money, can you? Alright. You've been actively reviewing revenue and expense streams. Sure. Reduction in area combined with the general decline in sales tax will impact one of the principal sources of revenue for the city. Gazelle likened the future of the mall site too. The valley was devastated, and instead of rebuilding what they had before, business owners took it as an opportunity to expand and modernize by bringing in new stuff. An opportunity exists, Gazelle said, for the mall redevelopment to activate approximately 100 acres just north of the mall, known as downtown Chesterfield. I think that's called Set It Up to Watch It Fall, Gazelle. You had plenty of room in that dopey mall. You know it, too. And your traffic is so congested over there. You know how many accidents you have at that four-leaf clover, right? With all those outlot food stores. Maybe you've never been there. Maybe you're from Abu Dhabi and you don't even live here in the United States. What do I know? And then you're selling out to Prince Charles and the baby factory? What? Come on. The redevelopment of the mall, officials said in the report, could emerge as a synergistic catalyst that drives the future of that area. I call bullshit. You're just trying to keep it looking good while you tear it apart. Quote, we have to know how it will interact with all the surrounding areas. I call bullshit because you guys are fancy pants. You and Ladue and Creve Coeur are the last of the fancy pants in St. Louis. And then you go outside of St. Louis County and move on to bigger and better things. Y'all are full of shit. And your grandpa and grandma was no different than my grandma and grandpa. They were salt of the earth. They farmed the land. They thought all this was fishy. They couldn't stop it. Maybe they lived through the Depression. Maybe they went through a couple wars. And you want to make it a better place for your kids. Tell me that one next. Because the kind of stuff that I see going on in the beauty industry, it's just another way to promote the sex trade industry and to manipulate children and images. I think you're all full of shit. No offense. Okay. Let's go to my channel. No, stop it. Does this live want to see the Tom Brady pictures again? No, it doesn't fit in. Don't do it. Okay, we won't. I wanted to show you the one from Jamestown Mall. I don't think it's here, but, well, oh yeah, mine is here. Now, this is a video that we made last May. And go ahead and bring this up. For those of you that were too fancy pants to know where Jamestown Mall is, it'd be located by the New Alton Bridge on the far end of North St. Louis County, Highway 367 and Lindbergh Boulevard, which is called Highway 67 at that point, north. That would be the beginning of Lindbergh, and it runs all the way down south to South County. You can cruise Lindbergh Boulevard for an hour and go end to end and cut across St. Louis. I mean, if you were on a field trip or something, scared of the highway, what do I know? This is the mall that you will see that has been purchased for $1 by the Port Authority. Keeping in mind a year before that, when businesses were still shitting on each other and it was at a different place on chessboard. Well, they didn't want it to go to anybody that was tax exempt. You know, like if some do-gooder wanted to have a big old thing in there. But you're going to sell it to the Port Authority for $1, and you don't want me to ask why they're demolishing the earth that would be the barrier to hold the Mississippi River back, and right across the street is Jamestown Mall, and you don't want me to ask why we have a Port Authority in St. Louis, or want me to ask why Sunset Park is full of kudzu? And you know kudzu is eating all the trees there. They built that brand new conservation area, and they tried for years to open up a marina there for all the fancy pants with their big boats. But people didn't want it because it would bring a lot of pollution and affect the river at the point where the um, convergences, which is where the three rivers come together. Illinois River, Missouri River, Mississippi River, as well as at Sioux Passage Park. You will find the only place in the world, other than the Nile in Egypt, where the river flows both north and south at the same time. You wonder why we talk about the pipeline and the polluting of the Missouri River. Come on, people. Please. Alright. Let's watch.
Let's
I named
not.
this Death in Business.
If they want.
Jamestown Mall. Now, the most
So, we're done with Jamestown Mall's tour.
So let me tell you a story about growing up in North County. See, there was a lot of racial wars between here and where these other malls are because, you know, the black people were supposed to stay over here. Well, the white people still wanted to see a white Santa Claus, but, you know, the days of dealing with other people other than who look just like them, well, they gotta, you know, take their hearts into consideration. And Jamestown Mall was experimenting with working the shifts where you get a white Santa Claus and then you get a black one and you keep switching off all day. And Chelsea and I were in this big long line, and you see the Santa Claus getting off the throne and walking away, right? And I didn't say nothing. I didn't want to spoil her time. And everybody's kind of starting to talk in line and grovel, and it's getting louder and louder. Well, a black Santa Claus had taken the chair, you know, the throne. And these white people, man, they were tripping. I mean, you know, like putting their hands over their kids' eyes like this and picking them up and taking them the other way. Because it would totally shatter their reality if they found out that Santa Claus wasn't the same color as them. And see, I was never going to lie to my kids about Santa Claus anyhow. But that very day in that line is when I explained to her about that's not some 900-year-old man. And these are people that, you know, do good works on his behalf. We still love you, you're going to get presents. You know what I mean? And she was fine. She loved that Santa Claus. My Chelsea Pratt was never prejudiced. Neither is Lauren, and neither is Ian, and neither am I, and neither is Joe. Anybody that lives in here in North County should have already had that burnt out. Now, when you see the black people being prejudiced of the Mexican people, you might want to reference a story like that. I'm cool with everybody. I do this, say what's up, because most people hate me because I'm a redhead. So don't tell me about white privilege. Especially when I'm a white girl in a town where I'm not allowed to work and where I've been blacklisted.
Right.
Because of TIF money, and because of churches, and because of people's ego, and because of not enough to go around, and because of a one-horse town.
BTC.
Well, guess what, Chesterfield? You're the same daggum way. Every one of these townships are. Not because everybody's a bad person, because they've all been taken over by an algorithm program.
Plug it in.
Which means you just plug the same situations in over and over and over and see how the people are reacting. From there, they're refugees. Oh yeah, citizens of the great United States are refugees too, you bunch of... I'd call you dopey stoners, but I should be telling you to have another hit of crack, because all of the people that are taking meds are the first ones up and getting corralled.
And that's why people like to accuse you of being crazy when you're not.
And why
Right.
shouldn't a stupid system be stupid, you ask? Well, it can't do any better. Alright, so why can't smart people like us change it?
Right.
Hey, blow me sideways. We're doing the best we can. And behind the scenes, we see changes. We don't know what you see. People like myself, we all see different parts of the change. But since we're linked up, heart-brained, and telepathically, somehow we all have this information stream. And from there, we can spread it back out again. Kind of like the Presley phenomenon. I mean, the people in the U.S. got fed the big lie. Everybody outside the U.S. knew the truth. There was always more than one. All the professionals always knew the truth because they all had to hide their kids so they wouldn't get killed or transgendered or eaten. Yeah, this is all true. And speaking of that, that's what really pisses me off about these bags of hair that are getting sold. Because, see, before it was Indian hair and it was sold to the Koreans or the Orientals because you didn't want, you know, the people that are using the hair to get 100% of the profits, no doubt. Well, this hair that the beauty girls are selling and the hair that my daughter's involved in down at their little pink salon, that's white people's hair. Where are you getting all that hair from?
Oh, it's all
Down in India.
synthetic. Right?
Once a year, those women go to temple and they donate their hair to serve God. And then, just like in the money changer story, those jackasses go out and make a profit on it and still tax the people that are bald that don't have jobs. That's what's going on. So, I'm going to make a public statement, as I always do, entered into the record as a spiritual researcher and a remote viewer. I find it very odd that now there's an abundance of Caucasian hair for hair extensions. Do you know where I think it comes from? Because every part is worth money. Kind of like now we're going to have to donate our organs, whether we want to or not, where before you had to sign a release on the back of your driver's license. Oh yeah, they're taking their hair just like they did in the Holocaust stories. They took their jewelry, they took their hair, they took their clothes, they took their shoes,
Took their teeth.
and they reused and recycled it. And I'm telling you what, it's disgusting. And then to say that's your natural beauty, shame on you. Shame on anybody.
Right, that's
That's
the
involved
worst
with
part.
But I'm cool. Cool.
Fake eyelashes, crappy makeup.
Back to my playlist.
Right.
Hair Emporium Unplugged.
No, we're not going to do that, are we, really? You run your live streams so long, Suze.
Boy, that's a great story. But we don't need that one today. This is the one I like. Now, this is very, very important, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, we have connected the St. Louis Awakening Project and the 321 Beauty Brands. We can see how the tentacle arms go to the political thing, the Me Too, the LGTB, whatever, the 31 flavors of now if you're a boy or a girl, the decimation of retail and how you do business, and people not having any true skills where you can crank out handmade stuff or do art like with your hands as a hairdresser or a secretary or anything. Taking that out to this. If you go into my law book, Oh, no, 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 no. You do not. Even though you're trained,
Talk about laws for
it is
hairdressers.
against the law for us to diagnose a skin condition, to say what it is. We have to send that person to a dermatologist. Well, hey, the CDC thinks it'd be prudent, and they're kickstarting it here in St. Louis. You know, this was on the news a few months ago, that hairdressers are the new spokespeople for STDs. It's another political agenda. And even if I were a salon owner, see, I was already privy to my friends' intimate stories, so I wouldn't need to give them the talk on sex and tell them what's dangerous and not to use the same needles, because my clients didn't use needles. I knew them, all of them. But hey, now that there's no small business anymore, very few small salons, you get it, it's at the corporate level. So you'll have great clips, supercuts, fantastic Sams, sports clips, being handed a script from the CDC on safe sex practices. You want to get people in a war in a hair shop and take your people that are theoretically straight or married or in monogamous relationships, put them up against the wild and free that are either bisexual or homosexual, or just, as my friend Sonny would call it, loosen the zipper. Because I know about hair shops and I know about lifestyle in the salon, so I can tell you, as a small business owner, you are asking for war. Especially when these people are walk-ins and you only have 15 minutes to cut their hair, walk them up to the front desk and hand them their pamphlet about how to keep it in their pants. And at the same time, don't forget, this costs huge amounts of money to do, and we're paying for it. I can't keep paying for this kind of shit when nobody even let me work. I mean, how does that work? Oh, right. They want to reduce the population to 500 million. Wake up, kids. We are not going to claw and scratch at each other as this happens, because it is our stepping off place. And where we advance to isn't a come one, come all place where we parasite on one another. And this will be the rest of what you know to be eternity, whatever you think that is. So, better get it straight, man. Alright, we're on it. It's me, Suze. Sure it is. Your holistic stylist and licensed cosmetologist, which would be the reason.
We're not going to go through the technicalities here again.
Right.
It's all online for you. We're just documenting.
Currently, it's one in the world.
Second in the world. I've been doing some videos on St. Louis recently, so you may find it interesting what I logged in on my show in the last few weeks, because I've been speaking about loving where you live and why I'll continue to stay in St. Louis. Because you're stuck.
Oh yeah. That would be interesting. So we come back to this fence around person.
Yes, and the actual person that posted that has the very name of his town, and his grandpa was the health commissioner. So, can you see the pain in people that ran with what they call the Great White Flag, and then they condemn from the places they are? The reason why that is because when they get to where they're going, the people that have been there and are established don't want them there. And so the pain just perpetuates over and over and over. And we're all a bunch of refugees with no home. In the future, after all these things pan out and these ways have been put to bed, what this home will become is what they call a CVAC center. And I think it was like the old block home. You know, if somebody's in trouble, they can come here and get help. If they need some kind of guidance or counseling, they can get that. And of course, I will always have a license to do hair, which means I can legally touch someone.
Right.
Right. However I serve, it's always been more than hair.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing that people wrap their minds around. And that's what my clients and friends are very loyal to me. And they'll do whatever they need.
Well, it seems that from a policy perspective, you would want a business in the community that also had a civic
Or online.
interest
Yes.
in the community
It actually had a
that they're
purpose.
located in. You would want
That's
them
right.
to have
All the
residents so they
paperwork
feel
and documents.
invested
Right.
in that community.
Right.
So it seems like you would fit those categories.
You would think, wouldn't you? I can't be that bad.
You would think so. It's very, very interesting that from the beginning you felt like you've been blackballed in this community where you reside, where you take a civic
They told
interest,
me.
and where
They
you've
told me.
chosen to place your livelihood.
And online they told me too.
Right?
Right.
You know, we've seen with Ferguson being some businesses being hit. Well,
Yeah, my buddy Melvy and Biggie Blowhole and Sir Chanelot and assorted other douchebags said, "We'll bury you so far down, you'll never get up." Because they're playing with my script. Alright. From Sophia's Emporium, I'm Suze Pratt, the holistic stylist. And let's do business.